Truth persists.
आज का भारत सिर्फ आगे नहीं बढ़ रहा, भारत खुद को नेक्स्ट लेवल पर ले जा रहा है.
Together with my friend Prime Minister Modi, who I was pleased to see again last night, we took on our bilateral relationship and raised it to its highest level ever.
We need new answers. That's why we are coming to India.
And as a citizen of Nepal, India's closest neighbor, I feel a deep sense of pride and optimism seeing this stride.
Hello and welcome. I'm Rashan Gidwani and you're watching The World Report. Let's take a look at the top headlines for this hour. Israel confirms the elimination of the newly appointed chief of the Hamas armed wing during a targeted military operation. The precision airstrike successfully neutralizes the leader. Bangladesh officially approaches the International Monetary Fund to request a comprehensive new financial assistance program. The country faces severe economic strain as a direct result of the war involving Iran. The newly elected head of the Tibetan government in exile finally takes the official oath of office during a formal ceremony. The historic event marks the beginning of a new administration focusing on global advocacy and diplomacy. The chief executive officer of NVIDIA announces a massive plan to increase annual corporate spending in Taiwan to $150 billion. This aggressive strategy simultaneously expands production capacity and strengthens the local tech supply chain. The UAE officially expresses gratitude regarding the UN Security Council's declaration condemning the strike on the Baraka nuclear power plant. The government emphasizes that safeguarding critical energy infrastructure remains absolutely vital. French Prime Minister Lecornu publicly announces that the government is seriously considering formal legal action over Israel's actions against the Gaza aid flotilla. Meanwhile, Spain's Prime Minister Sanchez strongly condemns the entire operation. Israeli troops advance in Lebanon whilst Israel blames Beirut for the rising casualties. Israel also pushes forward with a controversial plan for the voluntary immigration of Palestinians from Gaza. A drone attack sparks a fire at the Tuapse Sea Terminal in Russia. A separate missile attack on Taganrog in southern Russia leaves 2 people injured. And now for our top story for this hour, we have news coming out of Israel. Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar has blamed the Lebanese government for the presence of Israeli forces in southern Lebanon following a deadly day of air and ground strikes across the country. His remarks come after reports that more than 30 people were killed and dozens injured in Israeli attacks as the military presses a ground push deeper into southern Lebanon. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israeli forces are moving to seize and fortify what he called a security zone inside Lebanese territory, signaling an expansion of the military operation against Hezbollah. Saar also said Israel has no territorial ambitions in Lebanon, while accusing Beirut of failing to stop Hezbollah from operating south of the Litani River, which he said has fueled the current escalation. The comments come amid rapidly intensifying cross-border hostilities, raising fresh concerns over a wider regional conflict. And now, joining us live to tell us more is Ephraim Enbar, Israeli defense and security strategist, joining us live from Tel Aviv. Sir, as these tensions escalate, what more can you tell us about what we can witness in the coming days?
Well, first of all, I'm in Jerusalem, and the perspective is that the conflict will continue, because Lebanon, the Lebanese government, is not able to control Hezbollah. Basically, Lebanon is a failed state with no monopoly over use of force within its territory. And since October 7, 2023, Hezbollah joined Hamas and continues to shoot at Israeli civilians, which is totally unacceptable. And therefore, we try to limit the damage to our civilians by creating a security zone in southern Lebanon. And as long as the Lebanese government will not be able to exercise its sovereignty over its territory, and Hezbollah will take advantage of it and will attack Israel, there is no end to the conflict.
Right. As far as an end is concerned, there have been many ceasefires, and like you mentioned, there doesn't seem to be an end. As far as the Abraham Accords are concerned, do you believe that that will help essentially solidify stronger relationships between these nations and bring them to an understanding where a resolution can be the outcome or not?
I think Israel will welcome if Lebanon will join the Abraham Accords. It's not our choice. It's the Lebanese government doesn't dare even to have a meeting between the two prime ministers because it is afraid of Hezbollah. So as long as Hezbollah has veto power on the Lebanese government's decisions, I don't think that there is going to be any improvement in the situation. Hopefully, there might be a ceasefire. In the meantime, Israel exacts a higher cost from Hezbollah in order to convince this terrorist organization to stop its activities against Israel.
Right. Mr. Enbar, please stay with us. We'll be right back with you. Next up, we have more news coming out of Israel. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz has confirmed that Israel is pushing ahead with its plan for the voluntary immigration of Palestinians from the Gaza Strip. Katz confirmed the advancement of the voluntary immigration goal alongside that Hamas military commander Mohammed Odeh has been killed in a targeted strike in Gaza City, with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Katz both vowing Israel will continue pursuing everyone who took part in the October 7th massacre. A new directorate has been established within Israeli Defense Ministry tasked with overseeing what Katz calls the safe and controlled passage of Gaza residents for their voluntary departure, managing logistics including movement routes, designated crossings, and infrastructure to support travel by land, sea, and air. Humanitarian groups in several Arab nations, including U.S. allied Saudi Arabia, have described the relocation plan as illegal and said that it amounts to ethnic cleansing. However, Katz insists that the initiative aligns with international law, and the far-right finance minister Bezalel Smotrich has separately confirmed that Israel is actively developing a large-scale immigration plan in coordination with Washington, including identifying potential destination countries and fostering their cooperation. And now, once more, we do have Ephraim Enbar, Israeli defense and security strategist, joining us live from Jerusalem. Mr. Enbar, thank you so much for joining us once again. When it comes down to this immigration plan, why would it be deemed illegal?
I think it's a very good question. Voluntary immigration exists all over the world. Many people are moving, trying to find a better life elsewhere. And since the Gaza population is suffering because of Hamas and the war it initiated, I think there is nothing wrong in enabling those Gazans that want to leave and have a visa to some other place to go and try to improve their lives. I think it's incredible that countries say that this is illegal.
Right. Where would these individuals be going to exactly? We have seen reports of an immigration crisis in Europe. Are the European nations essentially accepting these individuals in, or is there some sort of an issue there? What's your take?
I think that many European countries are wary of additional immigration of Muslims into their countries. And this is indeed the most difficult issue, finding a place for those that want to leave Gaza. And many countries, as I mentioned, are reluctant to accept them. Actually, there is much interest in Gaza in immigration, particularly among the young people. There are polls that were taken about a year ago. Maybe 60 to 70% of the young people want to leave the Gaza Strip, and I think the international community should open its gates for those immigrants.
So as far as the gates being open for these migrants, essentially, do you believe that they essentially need to fill out certain sort of requirements, or are they just allowed to go just because they have a visa?
Well, they cannot go anywhere they want. And each country has a right to accept immigrants according to certain criteria. Probably they look for better educated people, for doctors, engineers, and this is the prerogative of each country. But this type of people are in Gaza, and I'm sure that some countries that have lax immigration policies will welcome them.
So much for joining us, Mr. Enbar. We'll speak soon as we have more developments. Much appreciated. Next up, we have more news with regards to the Russia-Ukraine war. Ukraine has launched one of its largest overnight aerial assaults on southern Russia and occupied Crimea, targeting key military and energy infrastructure. Russian authorities say air defenses intercepted and destroyed 140 Ukrainian drones across multiple regions, including Crimea, Belgorod, Krasnodar, and Rostov. In the Black Sea port city of Tuapse, falling drone debris sparked a major fire at the sea terminal, though officials say the blaze has now been extinguished with no reported casualties. In occupied Sevastopol, a missile strike hit the southern division building of Russia's central bank, setting the roof ablaze and damaging nearby residential buildings. Russian-installed authorities claim more than 20 drones were intercepted, but suspected Storm Shadow missiles penetrated air defenses. Meanwhile, in Taganrog in Russia's Rostov region, a missile was reportedly destroyed mid-air, but debris injured 2 women and ignited several vehicles. One victim is said to be in serious condition. Local reports also suggest damage near an aircraft repair facility linked to Russian military aviation operations. The attacks mark a significant escalation in Ukraine's campaign against Russian military logistics and Black Sea infrastructure. And now we have Freddie Svein, a former Danish diplomat, joining us live from Copenhagen to tell us more. Mr. Svein, thanks so much for joining us. Essentially, this tension that's going on between Russia and Ukraine only seems to escalate, with, of course, reports coming out of Russia that have stated that diplomats in Kyiv and ambassadors as well should leave. With this latest development and report, what do you believe that Russia will do as far as retaliatory attacks? What's your take?
Thank you very much for having me. I don't see any end to it. And of course, now it's rhetorics on both sides, and especially from Moscow. Whether they will really make words into actions remains to be seen. But it's definitely an escalation, and sadly, we do not see any attempt really to find an agreement, whatever that might be. So it's a little bit sad to see, but the Russians are really stepping up their rhetorics here.
As far as a resolution is concerned, what do you believe is essentially in the way now?
It's difficult to say. I mean, now this war has been going on for almost the same time as the Second World War in Europe and across the world at that time. The Second World War was a devastating war for so many continents and so forth, and now we have this continental war. So what it takes really to find an agreement, seen from my point of view, is only US and President Trump that can step in and say, enough is enough, we don't want more slaughterings, and now it's time for the two parties to get to a negotiation table. Obviously, the most simple solution is for Russia to withdraw, but I don't see that happening either, certainly.
With regards to the United States, what exactly is not allowing them to step in? What do you believe their hesitation is, or Trump's hesitation?
I think they have tried a lot in order to find a kind of negotiation route for the two parties, but it turned out that the conflict is very deeply rooted, and the war will just continue. So obviously, President Trump and US, they have a lot of other issues that are perhaps seen from DC, much more closer to their daily life and agenda. So they have said repeatedly that this is a continental war, and of course US is ready to step in if there is an interest or any likelihood of a settlement of one way or another. I think basically it's for Europe to step up and say, listen, and make it very, very clear to Russia and to some extent to Ukraine, now this has to stop, and let's sit together and find a solution.
Just yesterday, I was essentially discussing with a guest that we had here on NewsX World how Ukrainians have also been migrating out of Ukraine for the last 10 years, and now it looks like Russians may be doing the same. What more can you tell us about the immigration crisis in Europe following this war that has lasted more than 3 years now?
Yeah, but we see it, and especially in Denmark, we have a lot of young males from Ukraine living here. They were allowed to leave their country, and now they are here and in big numbers. So we have seen it over the time and over the years that people are either willingly or unwillingly leaving their country. Either they don't want to do military service, or they are being given the opportunity to leave. And it shows that this conflict is going to have far-reaching consequences for Europe, for Ukraine, and also for Russia. So I will not be surprised if we see a lot of Russians also trying to get out of Russia, which seems to have growing economic challenges.
Yes, essentially when we think of individuals leaving their home country, then the economy fails as well. For example, you just mentioned that there is a surge of Ukrainians living in Denmark as well. What exactly do these individuals need to do as far as requirements are concerned? What are the stipulations that must be in place for them to be allowed to leave? Or is it as simple as them hopping on a bus and crossing the border?
No, but the Danish government allowed a number of the young Ukrainians to come to Denmark, and they are looking for jobs, and quite many are finding jobs. And if they can't get a job, they are supported by the Danish welfare system, and so that's it. But that's a kind of a very generous scheme to help people who are in kind of bitter urgency. So and it has a big support in the public here in Denmark.
Right. Mr. Swain, thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated. Next up, we have more news out of Cannes Film Festival 2026. Rising Indian fashion model Rafa Gilani achieved a historic career milestone by becoming the only Indian talent selected to walk for luxury brand Chopard official at the 2026 Cannes Film Festival. Gilani, who has steadily built a strong professional reputation across major European fashion hubs like London, Milan, and Paris, drew widespread international praise for her poised red carpet presence. The industry buzz surrounding her breakthrough appearance was further amplified by her familial connection as the niece of acclaimed Bollywood actress Gauhar Khan. Rafa now joins us on NewsX World. Ms. Gilani, thank you so much for joining us. Let's dive right in with the first question. This year, you became the only Indian model to walk for Chopard official at the Cannes Film Festival 2026. When you stepped onto that stage, did it feel like a defining moment in your career?
It was. I think bringing Indian representation onto the international runway is already such a major thing to me. And to be able to start my career with such a big show, being in France, being in Cannes, it was just so amazing. And to be walking with some of the biggest names like Adriana Lima, and to be walking in front of such big names like Bella Hadid was, it was indescribable. It was amazing.
Indescribable indeed. Now, you've been building your presence across fashion capitals like London, Milan, and Paris. But Cannes has a very different kind of global spotlight. What does it mean to represent India at such a prestigious international event?
I think India already has so much value in its fashion and its industry and Bollywood as well. And slowly, I think the world is beginning to see its beauty as well. As you're gonna also see in Couture Week with all the Indian designers coming up in Paris. I just think being able to bring that onto the international platform, and Cannes is like, when you go there, you'll see there's so many Indian celebrities now coming in, and they have always been there, but now they're getting more recognition. So I think being able to be a part of this wave.
Wonderful. Now, Cannes today is not just about cinema. It's also become one of the biggest global fashion platforms. How much pressure is there to stand out when the whole world is watching every appearance?
I think I've learned that no matter what you do, it's always important to be yourself. And that's something I've learned from my aunt, like Gaur Khala, my Masi. And so, I think because there's so many people doing also very similar things to what you're doing. But the thing that will make you stand out in such a huge crowd is to be yourself, because it is what it is about you that kind of makes you stand out. I mean, of course, you can jump on the biggest fashion trends and whatever it is that everyone thinks you should be doing. But I think when you do what you are doing the best, and then bring parts of yourself that you don't hide, whether that be in speaking loudly or laughing loudly or being kind to people, I think that is definitely what makes you stand out in this industry, in the international platform, and anywhere else.
Fantastic. Now let's move on. Your work in cities like Milan, Paris, and London has already generated strong attention in fashion circles. How different was the Cannes experience compared to other international fashion events you've attended?
I think being in Cannes, I was so taken away and I was so shocked, because it is a small city, but it's filled with everybody from everywhere. And I was so shocked because I would be walking and a producer or director would come up to me and be like, oh, we would like you for this. And I think that just goes to show like how everyone is in the same place at the same time from all over the world and all over the industry. I remember staying in my hotel, I was in the elevator and there were a few people and they were speaking Arabic, and I kind of like had a feeling, oh, where are you from? And they were basically filmmakers from Algeria doing French movies. So I think it's so cool how you bump into like the people you would least expect. And also you are with the biggest celebrities and the same names at the same time, which I think is so cool, because we were doing, for the fittings, we were in Hotel Martinez, and we are doing our bit, our job, models, fittings, and then as soon as you're there, you see Dylan Sprouse, Barbara Palvin, Adriana Lima, so it's very cool. It's very cool like that.
Terrific. Now, after such a major milestone at Cannes 2026, where do you see your international journey heading next? And what kind of impact do you hope to make as an Indian face in global fashion?
I absolutely love that question, because that question is, I think, what fuels and drives me till now and ever since I was a kid. Of course, everyone only wants to go up, and I always want to do better and get the best in what I'm doing. And along the way, I want to be able to show the little girls like me that it is possible, because I remember growing up, I never thought that I could be there. And now I look back and I'm like, wow, like I'm here, I'm on that runway. And also one huge thing for me is like the love for skin tone. As you can see, my skin is dusky, it's quite dark, but I've begun to love it so much ever since I started modeling, actually, because it's appreciated so much worldwide. And there was a time where maybe like a family member would be like, oh, you got so tanned, and I'd be really sad. But now when someone turns around and tells me that, I'm like, thank you. Like, it's a huge compliment for me. And I want every girl in India to feel the exact same way about their skin tone, because there's no one way to look, and there's so much beauty in exactly how they look.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us on NewsX World, Ms. Jelani. Much appreciated. That's all we have time for. Keep watching NewsX World for more news updates from around the world.